Hey, what's up? Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to learn about building the backend server with Node.js. We're using TypeScript and probably going to use uh, Angular for the front end. So this is going to be my series of all the tutorials that I'm going to build in future. So this is going to be my first tutorial. On this first tutorial, we're going to learn what tools we need and what we're going to build in a short period of time. So let's get started. You already saw in my screen here. First of all, you need to have Node.js installed in your machine. I already have a Node.js in my machine, so if you don't have, you can go ahead and nodejs.org. Then you can download for your operating system. So if you have Windows, you can install for the Windows. If you have a Mac, you can install for the Mac. So I'm working on Mac, so I already have a Node.js installed in my Mac machine. Next thing you need to have is the Visual Studio Code. So the same thing. You can go to this download link. I'm gonna put that in the description of this video. So you can just go ahead and you can just download the Visual Studio Code for your operating system. So I already have this the Visual Studio installed in my machine. So let me go and quickly create the one terminal here. So this is the terminal I'm going to use to create various stuff in my project. So I am inside my tut1 folder. Everything is blank right now. We don't have anything here. But first of all, we need to create. So let's say once you have a node in your machine, you'll have a node available in your machine, as well as you'll have npm, that's a node package manager, available in your machine. So npm is a utility tool that gives you a lot of command line tools, so you can generate different things. For example, I need to init with my project. So as soon as I do the npm init, it is going to create a package.json for me. But before that, it will ask me a few questions. So first question is it's asking me the package name. I'm gonna leave that as a tut1. That's fine. Version 1.0.0. That's fine for me. Description maybe tutorial first. Entry point. I need to. So here we're going to use TypeScript for all the development. We're not going to use any vanilla JavaScript. So by default, it's going to give me index.js, but we're going to change this one with server.ts. So everything is in ts file extension. That's a TypeScript. Test command, I'm just leaving blank for now. Git repository, that's blank. Keyword blank. Maybe in author, I can put my name here. License fine. This is gonna be okay for me. So as soon as I complete this steps, it's gonna create me the package.json. So if you double click here, you'll see all this information we already provided. It's already created for me. Now we need to define few dependencies to work with our project. So basically, we'll have the we'll have a few dependencies we're going to install. So let me try to get all the dependency for me. So for this tutorial, we are going to have these dependencies for us. So if you see here, I added one dependency from here to here, and second thing is the dep dependency over here. So the difference between the dependency and dep dependency is all the dependent code or module or library that we're going to use even for the final project or the production version. But dep dependency is something like, for example, if you want to test some code, you can define your testing framework here. That is not going to be in the final project, just for like testing your local development. So, so for this project, at least we need to have all this dependency. For example, types express is for types of this express we're going to use in this project. By crypt is something like we want to encrypt the data. For example, user is entering the password. We want to encrypt that before going to the server, something like that. So body parser. These are all like formatting the user's data, so we can work on that data later on. So course is something like if you are working on the local machine and you want to create something in the different domain, you want to avoid the core at least for the development purpose. So that's why we're using the course.env is something like we want to use some configuration file where we can save our credential like a password, database connection information, all those things. This is like a helpful library or the module. We can use that just to read and those properties from our .env file. We're gonna use that later on. So Express is already the framework for the Node.js, but it's like a de facto framework for any Node.js application development. Path is just like a helper library to get the path from different directory within the current environment. These are all like for like a dev dependency for the development purpose. As we go, I will explain all this thing like what is a node mon, what is TS node, TypeScript. TypeScript we're already using TypeScript, so we're using the version 3.8.3. So we already have this dependency defined in the package.json. Then we need to have a few things to add here. So first of all, we need to create one folder. Let's say it's src. Um, inside the src, we're gonna add a few more folders. One is going to be our config folder. Second is gonna be routes folder, and third will be our maybe UI component and these components. Oh, I think I put everything inside here. Let me delete that one. My bad. So delete this one again. Okay. So we're gonna have a new folder config here, and we're going to have a new routes here. Oh, what's going on? I need to put it over here. Move. Route will go here. What's happening here? I don't want to. Okay. Let's say it's routes. Okay, so we have route config, and we're gonna have UI components, components. All right, so this three folder we'll have it here, and each folder we're gonna define some files here also. So we're gonna have first config.ts for all the configuration. Routes we'll have routes.ts, and UI component maybe I will just create one simple let's say home.html. All right, so we'll have all this configuration file defined here. So let's go one by one each. So in the config.ts file, we're going to write some code to configure our application. So first of all, we need to import few dependent here. We're going to import asterisk is expressed from, let's say it's from Express itself. Okay, URD. It's showing the error because we forgot to install our whole dependency, right? So first of all, we need to do npm install. So once we do the npm install, what it does is it goes to the package suggestion. It reads all the dependency we have defined here so far, and it will fetch everything. And mm, okay, so npm install. Okay, so I think we forgot to save this one. Okay, let's install all the modules now. So it's going to fetch all this dependency from the packagization, and it's going to get all this from the npm repository, and it's going to install everything in our application. So as soon as this is finished. Okay, so this is completed now. If you refresh here, it's going to create a node modules folder, and it has a lot of dependency here. So we're good here. Now let's define our all config code here. Import is body parser from body parser. Next we need import steric as course from course itself. Course. I am URD. Next we need import asterisk as dot env, dot net, sorry, dot env from dot env itself. Okay, so we need to export and create an export out class. Let's say it's a config. We need to create one config class here, and we have to define few options to configure the course config, course option. We have a public. We define one variable here that is going to be our express dot application. Next we have a router. We define one router that is going to be our express dot router. Let's say we have a constructor here. We're going to initialize we're going to create one method here, config app. It's going to be our method that will initialize our all configuration, and we're going to call this method here. Let's say what we need here. First of all, we need to have this option. We need to define few options here. Let's say what else I need here. First of all, allowed header. Every header we're going to allow here, so it's going to be like asterisk. Next, we're going to have a credentials false, because we're not going to use any credential like a token and all those things here. Later we'll define that, but not right now. some method. Right now, let's define this get and post now, and origin from anywhere. It's going to be yesterday. Right. So next, pre-flight, it usually does from the Chrome. We're saying it's true. Now, after we define all this, we need to have a .env dot config. We need to call this one, and now we need to define a few things here. This dot app equals to express. Okay, express this dot app dot use. We need to use the course, and we're going to pass this dot all the options inside that course. This dot app dot use. Now next we're gonna define body parser also. Quotation. Alright, so next we're gonna need this dot app dot use, and we need body parser URL encoded, and we're gonna have extended going to be false. All right. Next we're gonna have app.use, and we're gonna define the root route, and it is going to be our express.static, and we need to have to define our path here. And now we're gonna add this to, let's say we're gonna have src UI components that we already created here. We're going to point this one, and we want to serve all the HTML from this location. Okay, now this dot app dot use. Finally, we're going to have class, and we're going to call this dot router. Okay, and at the bottom of this class, we need to export this class, making an instance of this class. Okay, config. What is the name I gave? Okay, maybe I want to keep config C ONF. Okay, that's all for our config file. Let's go to the routes here. In the route, we're going to define all the routes that we're going to have in this application. The same thing, like we're going to import Civic as express from express. Also, we need to have import Civic as no, we need some request and response. So now request response from express itself. And we also need to import config from, we just define this config, right? So config and config. Let's define a class for this route now. Class, we can define routes here, and we're gonna need few variables here. Public, let's say app is going to be any. Next, so we're gonna define router. Let's do express dot router. Okay, now we define constructor here. So inside the constructor, we're gonna have this dot router. Let's define our first get router, get route. So that's gonna be our root, and next will be like a callback. We can have a request as a request and res as a response, and we define our arrow method, arrow function here. And here we can just do all our logic, like what do you want to do when any request comes with the slash as a route. So you can serve this HTML file, or you can do like a logic to fetch some data from the database, or you do some other calculation, and depending on the different calculation, you can send any information to the client. So for now, I'm just simply sending the file. So this file is going to be process.env.pwd, and I need to append this relative URL src slash components slash home.html. Right. Now we need to do this app use, and we need to use, for this routing, we need to use this router. All right. The final thing we need to do with this, we haven't created any server. Okay, let's create one server. I'm going to create one file, server.ts here. So this is going to be very simple server. We already defined all the configuration in other files. All we need to do here is import app from the routes slash routes. Next thing, we need to have one constant as support. So we're going to define process p.port. If that is available, it will take that one. Otherwise, let's say 4040. We can define 4040. Now we just need to listen to, okay, sorry, route. We also need to export, right? Export default new routes dot app. Now this is available here. You can listen for this port, and let's define one function for the callback. And once that is listening, we can just console something here. Let's see, server is running at port, and we can just skip the port. All right, cool. So I can save all these changes. Now we need to do a few things here in the packagization. So here, this script tag by default it comes with a test, but we need to add few scripts just to run our server. So I can say for the dev, what you need to do. So in the dev, we already have a TS node, right? So TS node, and which file we want to have an entry file. It's going to be src slash server.ts. So TS node is another library that will go and search through the current directory src. It will find the ser server.ts file, and it's going to execute that file. So to run the server, we need to go to the command terminal here, and we need to do npm run dev, because this dev I define as a script to run, right? So let's see, hopefully it will not have any errors. have some errors. Where is that? Routes.ts. Let's go in the route.ts, line number 15. Okay, so I think inside the constructor I did all this thing. It should not be here. Constructor, we need to define, I mean, this is the initialization space, right? So config dot app, right? So this dot we're going to define one routes here. Let's say routes, and inside this route we need to have all this the routing definition here. But here we need to call this route, right? And now this config dot config app. So let's save this one and try to run this again. Okay, now it's running you can see that the message here, server is running at port 4040. So now what we can do here is we can just go to localhost and you can go to port 4040, and it shows nothing because it is serving the file home.html, but we don't have anything inside home.html. So let's define some simple tag. So this is the home page from the server. Let's say this is the home page only. Alright, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to kill this server again, and I need to run the server again. Okay, now if you refresh the page, now you can see this is the home page. So this is going to be like our home page. It is serving like this one. So if you want to define more routes, for example, let me copy this one. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Paste. Let's say I want to define some dashboard, not dashboard, let's say contact page. Now let me create one contact page here. New file, TST. Now I need to go to the route, just need to change the contact.html is already there. Let's save this one. Okay, now if I want to run the server again. Okay, now if I refresh, this is my home page. If I go to like a contact, this is my contact page, but still in the contact we don't have anything, right? So let's copy this, go to the contact, paste here. This is contact page, or maybe I can put a link here. Let's say now I can have a TP localhost 4040 and plus contact, and go to contact page, right? So I can save everything here, go back to home again. Let me put on the server again. Alright, server is running. Refresh. It's my home page. I already have a link here. If I click here, it goes to the next contact page, and go back and go to the contact page. It's like that. So that's all for this tutorial. I am going to build more a real case scenario for our tutorial series. But for now, this is like a starting point: how to use Node.js, how to use TypeScript, and how to define the routing, how to sort the static file like HTML content and all those things. So as we go further in next tutorial, we're going to build some more stuff. So stay tuned. So if you like the video, just give me a like and subscribe, so you will have like a lot of motivation to build more tutorials, right? All right, guys, happy coding. Thanks.